I want to show you is many folks thinks that doing t-shirt quilts is, you just throw them together, but that's not what you do. If Lori will show you on the table, I have the backs, the extra backs here that I've cut away. This is a boy from Graham. He played soccer, but I'm going to show you the start of it so that you see the thought process that's put in. When we're designing a quilt, and I have anything to do with anybody's stuff or the memories, I put a lot of thought into it. If you notice, I had to work what I did when I was designing this so far. I started with this big t-shirt because this was important to him, his mom said. And so I'm working from that, which these are big pieces. This is already 80 inches across. So, but I'm going to downsize the rest of the blocks, but I had to use extra pieces to create this. So I just wanted to show you the process when somebody is really doing a quilt and designing it. It is a thought process. It is not cut t-shirts up, put sashing around it. You got to think about the math that you're doing, and you got to think about the type of stabilizer. Some people run out to the other stores and pick up different things. Excuse me. But I'm funny about stabilizers on the back. I like a lightweight stabilizer. This is an ultra wet. I love this. It's lightweight. It irons on. It adheres to the back of the shirt. Because when you're dealing with shirts that are flimsy, such as this fabric, you got to have something to stabilize it. Now, when I do these, I cut my pieces smaller on this than I normally would. I usually use a 2.5 inch. I got to lay this down because I don't want it to wrinkle, because it's important. Pressing is as important in this quilting, a t-shirt quilt. Actually, it's more important to me than just sewing on cotton. I did 2-inch strips in between because the quilt's going to be pretty big to begin with. I know that there's a lot of quilters out there that do these t-shirt quilts, so I was just bringing it to the forefront because when we do t-shirt quilts, we start at $350 to $800 because there's a lot of time. When a person comes in, I start marking the amount of fabric, the hours that I'm working on it, and cutting out, because like I've cut these out, I haven't stabilized them yet. So I've cut out lots of his shirts that his mom brought in. He's from Graham, so I'm excited. This is his graduation present. But I wanted to show you the detail in the process. And when you're doing a t-shirt quilt, you have to have a good long roller, a must. And then with me doing this shirt, I am using a 20-inch ruler because I wanted to cut the shirts bigger so that I could cut down, because you'll end up cutting on these shirts probably 2 to 3 times, because what you will do, even after we've done this still needs to be cleaned up on the bottom edges where they shift a little. The material shifts even with a stabilizer on the back. Now, we don't put stabilizer on our sashing. It doesn't need to be. But, as you look at this shirt, I needed to get the whole thing in up here. So I put a piece of blue, and Betsy sewed this in so that it took well. And if you notice, all my pieces is so if I need to make a part of the quilt bigger, I don't immediately throw it away until the very end. But you will notice that I even have bigger shirts that I haven't decided. So when you're doing t-shirt quilts or anything in sewing, excuse me, I've had a bad head cold. See how big this one is? I'll be cutting it down compared to this one. So math is important, plan of action, and you just got to jump in and do it. Now, if you ever need help, we'll help you, but you got to have a plan when you come in. We can't plan your total quilt out. You need to pre-cut your pieces, have an idea of what you're up against. But I wanted to mention that because I like to give you a little education, because it's been a little bit since we had done education on the level of as far as piecing together. But your rulers, your product that you use is so important. I feel that it is. So, and when I'm doing work for someone else, I want it to be as close to perfect as it can be, because these memory quilts go with people for a lifetime, and then they pass it down to their kid if they played sports. This was a soccer kid that we're doing this for, and he graduates this year. He's a senior, so I appreciate you letting us do that, Mom, down there at Graham. I hope I've given you some pointers on it, but you got to keep all your extra pieces. So if you have to build things up, will it be lined up with the sashing? No, I already know that going in, that it's not going to line up the seams, because I will want to add. I've got lots of shirts to add to this. So I'll probably off-center them somewhat, but I wanted to show you this because I started with this one because this was important to Mom. That's what she said, that she wanted to make sure. And there's all kinds of signatures down at the bottom, so you don't want to do away with that. Sometimes you square them, sometimes you don't. It's just, no two t-shirt quilts are the exact same. They won't be the same size, so that's why when a person brings in t-shirts, I'm not swallowing this morning. Excuse me again. But it's important that you just don't shoot a price out. Now, I will machine quilt this. I wouldn't do this on a domestic type machine because of the movement. Even with the stabilizer on it, your back's going to curl. Don't put yourself through it. Bring it in. Let us quilt it real pretty and nice, and keep it manly. You know, this is another guy quilt. No flowers. Please don't put flowers on guy quilts. It just doesn't look good. Just for what it's worth.